welcome to the Point in Progress podcast, episode 28, your one-stop shop for news, recommendations, and some spicy takes. Join 5 friends across 3 time zones and 2 countries every week as we discuss all things we love while still thinking critically about them. I am your host for this week, Sly, and joining me are some wonderful folks, especially a sick Fee. Hi, Fee. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys. I'm really happy to be here.
It's so great it's so great to have you, sick Fee. Rad, right? Tubular. Let's go.
Sick Fee here, living La Vida Loca over here.
just riding out the storm. You know what I mean?
We also have that Mario Rivera. Mario, how are you doing?
I'm doing swell. I have a real nice jacket, like I said in the pre-show, and I'm gonna keep talking about this sweet ass, expensive ass jacket.
Nice. We have Frank joining us. Frank, what are you doing this crazy evening?
I'm 3D printing and I'm sanding masks so I can send to Fee so she has a Halloween costume this month.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. And you might notice, if you're watching the video, that Harv looks a little different this week.
I shaved.
Doesn't have a British accent.
Oi, I shaved.
Oi, mate.
Joining us, of course, is the lovely Cristian. Please introduce yourself for our audience if they don't know who you are.
Oh, introduce myself. Hello, my name is Cristian. I at ISO Cristian over on Twitter. I tweet stuff and I do things for the Penultimate Conquest and for Large Popcorn.
Hell yeah.
Large Popcorn, so
All
great.
right.
Penultimate Conquest.
Was
also
just
really
on
great.
this morning. Very excited. It was a great conversation.
Oh.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. With that, let's jump into the checkpoint. Of course, we have some pieces of housekeeping. Episode 5 of Fantasy in Progress is out right now.
It is not.
It is not slightly delayed.
Okay, it will be out by the time you see this.
Yeah, it'll definitely be out, and it'll be on
Okay.
audio platforms, so you should be fine.
Yes, it will be out.
It will
by
be
the time
out
people-
by the time you see this. This Sunday, which is the past if you're watching this video, but if you're watching live, it's this upcoming Sunday. We have a review. Frank, what's going on?
I did a Deathloop review. This is the first time I've done reviews for products and stuff like that, just kind of talking about other things, but I've never really sat down and done a review for a video game. I've tried it in the past. Usually ends up like 20 minutes. I can't really keep my thoughts together, but I feel like this one was the one. I edited it. Mario over here did some lower thirds graphics for me because he's a legend in that part. Fee's doing the thumbnail for me. I think it came out pretty good. I think Mario saw it, right? You thought it was okay?
Yeah. I mean, as someone this is your first video game review, it is pretty solid. So definitely give it a shot when it comes out on this Sunday.
Very excited for that. And before our last piece of housekeeping, of course, we want to give a huge congratulations to Greg and Jen Miller. Had their baby. So, claps all around. We are very happy for them that they're all safe and healthy.
Yeah.
And our final piece of housekeeping is something I'm very, very incredibly excited to announce. Of course, over the past couple weeks, you've heard me talking about the lovely folks over at Stark Radio and the wonderful What If after party they've been doing for all 9 episodes of What If. If you are watching live now, they are currently live. And I'm going to put the link in the chat. Please go say hi, because today we announced that I will be joining them as a co-host for the Hawkeye Show after party. So I will be on Stark Radio with Liz, Alexis, and Marissa, maybe popping into some episodes as well. They'll still be around, but I will be the other host for the Hawkeye review show, and I'm so excited. Please go send them all the love. I appreciate these folks so much. And I'm just so excited to be joining them and that I can finally talk about it because this is something I've been so excited for since they asked me, and I can now tell people. And so go check out Stark Radio, and producer Liz and Alexis Blake reads comics and Missa Bobissa on all the things because we love them. And that's it for the housekeeping, I believe. Feel good? Got everything?
Sounds about right.
Hell
Yes, that's about it. That's
yeah.
like everything.
All right.
House has been kept.
It's a
House
little tidier. A little
been
tidier.
kept. And we're gonna jump into what we've been playing, doing, etc. for the week. So, Frank, why don't you kick us off with what you've been up to?
Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm glad because there's something in here I really want to talk about. So I've been playing some Deathloop. Obviously, if I'm doing a review for it, I had to get some extra footage and stuff like that. I actually didn't write that in there, so somebody saw I was playing Deathloop. We're playing. Thank you, Faith. I have been playing some Rainbow Six Siege a lot. I've been getting a lot better at that game. When it comes to FPSs, it's kind of weird because if you don't play an FPS like for a long time, it's almost like riding a bike. You do really lose your ability to like aim at heads and stuff like that. Especially when we've been playing Final Fantasy for the last like 3 months straight. It's been I went back to Siege and I was just like, I cannot aim for shit. I suck at this game right now. But every day I wake up, I play a little bit of it, and I've been getting a lot better. I've got that aim back. It feels good to just be able to have that reaction time that I once had again. It feels really good. And I've been popping off.
Mario.
Oh my god!
Sorry.
All I heard was like a loud bang, and I looked down, and it's just Mario's face, just like in the screen. Yeah, catch some clips on TikTok for that. I have some other stuff I've been working on a small little Rainbow Six project too, for TikTok, so keep an eye out for that.
I saw your nice ace that you posted over on Twitter yesterday or 2 days ago. That's pretty sweet.
Thanks.
Makes
man.
you miss playing Rainbow.
It was getting the instincts are getting there, you know what I mean? So it feels really good to be able to like ace again and stuff like that. So me and Mario, yesterday, it was more spontaneous because we decided this at like almost midnight of Wednesday.
Yeah, we did.
To go see No Time to Die yesterday. This movie, without saying too much, I'm gonna wait till like the last person can kind of really talk about this. So I loved it. I thought it was a really cool movie. I don't think it's as good as Skyfall, but
You're damn straight, Frank.
Skyfall is still the pinnacle to those James Bond movies, but it's not a bad movie in any kind of way. It's definitely not the worst of the James Bond saga, but yeah, I thought it was pretty damn good. But I'll let you guys talk more about it because I saw you guys also saw it as well, especially you, Cristian. But I will talk about in detail. I did see the Resident Evil trailer, and I have thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. One of them being who at Hollywood just decided to literally just make this trailer a member buried.
Of the director talking about all the moments, and he definitely sounds like he is 100% a Resident Evil fan. But of course, you're not going to just do Resident Evil 1 and 2. Yeah, they are kind of doing it.
But that's exactly what they're doing, though. It's why I'm like, these don't really
in
fit.
the trailer, so that way it gets you enticed to go see the movie. That way you can see this and go through.
No, they're definitely playing on the heartstrings of Resident Evil fans to come see it.
But I do love the sort of there's different things that happen in the different scenarios that happened originally in the other game. Like for instance, the helicopter crash does not happen in the first game. It happens in the first game in this. So I thought that was kind of interesting. There's even like hints of other games in there too. Like there is a Code Veronica reference that's clear as day in there. Like it's pretty cool that they have them, and then if they set up future movies, awesome. That's cool too. Obviously, Resident Evil 1 and 2 at the core of them are not great stories. Let's be completely honest.
Whoa!
I'm talking about the original PS1 games. They're not the greatest of stories. However,
but those benchmarks have been fixed with the HD remaster of Resident Evil 1.
But even so, they're
HD
B,
remasters
they're
of Resident Evil 2.
B level, like B level in terms of like what they are. And I think it's fine. This looks like a B movie, and that's why I'm like, I'm gonna be sitting there popping popcorn, popping pills, just trying to enjoy this film.
Here's the thing for the audiences here too. This is also has to be leveled here. Mario actually likes the Resident Evil movie.
I do.
Fucking hate them.
I do like
I
the other
absolutely
two
cannot
movies.
stand them. I hate those movies with a absolute burning passion.
They work on
they do
such a
not-
stupid level.
They're not Resident Evil movies. They're action
not.
movies with a Resident Evil name.
Yeah, that is true. That is 100% true.
This is. It seems like this trailer is trying to appease both the audiences
I don't
who
believe
want
that.
a Resident Evil movie and the audiences that liked those Resident Evil
Not at
movies
all.
at the same time.
I don't see that at all. Not at all.
I
This is
definitely
totally.
just look at it.
There's, the way that they have slow motion. No, 100%. The way that this looks does not look like that because this looks way cheaper than those movies. So,
Well, those movies look pretty cheap to begin with. Let's be real
I'm
here.
just saying, in terms of what they're going for, at the very least, this does look more grounded in terms of ground level. They got crazy to the point where they're like doing like, kicking, what is it, glass and shattering dogs in half in slow motion and doing all wacky stuff. So we're definitely going a smaller route with this, and I'm okay with that. So that's why I'm definitely interested.
We'll see. Because remember, the first Resident Evil movie was kind of grounded. The first one.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
it didn't really start getting crazy until the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
it didn't start getting really crazy until the third one.
But then
the second one was kind of crazy.
But then they put them in Vegas in like an extinction event.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think they're gonna go that route so quickly. Like in this, like
Well, I don't think they're going to go that route so quickly, but they're definitely going to do. They're definitely going to have some creative things added in there. 100%.
But I do think because this seems so like heavily faithful to that original look, that at least I think it still will fit in those molds. Now we'll see that hopefully going forward. But until then, we have what
see.
we have. Yeah.
Christian,
Until
I know you
then.
probably have thoughts about this because you play Resident Evil like that, right?
I do, yeah. I'm actually gonna buy Resident Evil 4 for the Quest when that comes out later this month. I'm very excited to try that
so
out.
jealous.
It's gonna be rad.
So jealous.
I told Mario before the show started. I thought it was a Netflix movie. I didn't know it's going to theaters, which pretty much sums up my thoughts
Fair
on
enough.
this movie. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know if I'm gonna be excited to trek out to the theater and sit down and watch this.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch it just because like I love Resident Evil and I just kind of want to see what this new saga is gonna be. But this isn't a good first impression, I think, for Resident Evil fans. It's a good little like, hey, we have all the little set pieces here and there, so then you as a Resident Evil fan can recognize it. But it's the other stuff around it that just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever.
I want this to be more of a drama piece. Like I want like it to be like an hour of solid like nothing happening and it's just nothing but scary vibes. Like exploring this like gun down
Building
building and atmosphere. Exactly. That's what I would want out of a Resident Evil movie.
Fucking
Because
Granted, it's just a trailer though, so who
You
knows?
just want Escape Room the movie because that's what that is. It's just like I'm gonna put this shotgun in this fucking thing and it's gonna bring down the wall. Which hey may still
Is
be
that
in
movie
there.
good?
No,
I mean, this movie could blow me out of the water, out of nowhere. You know what I mean? I've been wrong about movies before. Some movies I'm just like, the movie looks stupid, and then I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty damn good. You know what I mean? Like The Sopranos. You know what I mean? Sopranos is one of those things that I always thought it was dumb, and then I just sat down and watched it. But yeah, we'll
this
see.
is not Sopranos.
Yeah.
See? Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I was gonna like I personally haven't even watched it because I've heard not so great, and I've always kind of not like, just like Frank, I'm not a huge fan of the movies because I appreciate the style that they do in the actual video games itself, where it is a lot of atmospheric, like a lot. Yes, there are zombies. Shocker. I'm sorry for spoiling the entire series for you, but here we are.
Oh no.
Oh goodness. But like what's really cool about especially like the later on games and the earlier games of Resident Evil was like it was a lot of like the tension was there, whereas in these movies it's just like bam, let's make it super Hollywood and then like have like just like a bunch of like silly narrations between each other and like really stories that don't really get you connected or get you excited, like essentially like connected with the characters that you're seeing on the screen enough to be like, oh man, I just saw their arm get ripped off. That's too bad. Let's
You
watch
get it. He gets it.
Yeah.
I want something that's a little like I agree with Christian. I want something more dramatic. I want that build up, and I think something like a TV show might be a little bit better when it comes to a Resident Evil series. Like trying to tell the story, because you need to have that build up and you need to have that kind of like that connection with the characters, because that's what you get during a Resident Evil game. And I think that's lost completely during those particular movies, because they try to make it like flashy and all crazy, and then it's just like, oh, we got some well-known names, and it's just like, I don't want a well-known person. I don't want a well-known person playing these characters. I want someone who's like yes, if they fit the character, by all means, but if it's just someone because they're doing it for name recognition, or just because like, oh, they've done a horror movie and everyone loves them, but they have no connection to the like movie itself or like the games itself. I really want to see something that like really takes me on a like adventure and on a story, and really gets me motivated to actually watch it. I'm not going to the movie theater to watch this. I might watch it when it comes to Netflix inevitably within the next year and a half, because it seems to be kind of the trend right now. But no,
or direct to DVD, like how it looks, but
yeah, like it just does. I agree with Cristian. I thought
I'm sorry.
the screenshots that I saw, I thought it was I thought it was a Netflix show, or I thought it was like something that was like kind of like maybe on Amazon, a little bit more, like it did not register as a movie to me.
Fair enough. I do recommend, though, people watch the IGN video of the director breaking down the trailer and going through it and talking about the history of wanting to make it more grounded between those two games. And I do recommend at least hearing him out and giving it a shot. Honestly, I just think that
I'm going to give it a shot no matter what.
Yeah.
100%. I'm still going to give it a shot.
At the end of the day, it's a wonderful thing if someone made a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if I can add one more thing, and Mario, to your point, that may actually change my mind as well if I watch that IGN video. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like Fee's onto something here, where like I feel like the games are sort of like approach that B movie kind of storytelling, but in kind of like that self-aware.
I think the games try to stupid each other between like. The games got stupider because the movies were stupid, and they were just trying to combat each other.
Yeah, so I could actually I could actually level you on this real quick. Resident Evil 1 through 4 are all like, so 1 through 3 are going to be atmospheric horror games, right? There's very little action. Yeah. There's going to be some action, obviously. You're shooting zombies, you're shooting big tyrants, but they're not action focused games. They're focused around atmosphere, or way the camera like kind of tricks you into hearing things before you see it, you know, not being able to hearing like shuffling of zombies, but not being able to look forward. So that you had to like kind of take the leap in a lot of cases to move forward. Whereas Resident Evil 4 was kind of that tipping point where it made sense that Leon has been fighting zombies and fighting, you know, and training for years, that he would be a more seasoned veteran and be able to do stuff like judo kicks and all that when he's fighting things, because he's trained at this point.
One of my favorite things that the director did say in the video is that Leon in this movie is more Leon in the PS1 game and not the remake, where he is a dork, and I think that's good.
Yeah, he's a fucking dork in OG Resident Evil 2. Yeah. But then once we start hitting Resident Evil 5 and 6, they started taking a different approach because of the times they wanted. Yeah, punching boulders and shit. They took a different approach because at the time people were really insanely in love with games like Call of Duty, Halo, all these like more run and gun like action games, and horror was starting to have kind of of a decline in that aspect, because you know, who wants to play a horror game where slow atmosphere is the key, when I could play a game where I could, you know, have people run at me pretending to be zombies, you know what I mean? So they started to have that approach, and then once Resident Evil 6 hit, and everybody was just like, this is not it. Because that game was trying to do a little too much in the action aspect, and it stopped being a horror game altogether. That's when Capcom reeled it back, and that's when we started getting Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 2, and all those like kind of return to those atmospheric horror-like games.
Okay. Well, if the director is self-aware, I guess that was my point, is like the movies didn't feel like they were self-aware in that same regard as the games. But if by Mario's comments about the director being kind of self-aware and paying homage to the 1 and 2, then maybe I'll give it a chance.
Yeah. Director's probably a really cool dude.
Fee, what have you been doing to fill your time outside of Final Fantasy 14?
Well, I mean, I think I could solidly say we played about 21 hours of that game this week. Just because we are trying to get through it. And oh my gosh, I just want to like give a huge shout out to Natsuko Ishikawa, who is the writer of the game that we're currently like Final Fantasy 14. There's different expansions. The one that we're on is right now Shadowbringers. Freaking genius. Like she wrote like and I'm not going to go into full on details about it because we do have a podcast about this, but they took a game that we went through Stormblood, and that's in the previous expansion, and I wasn't particularly excited. But one thing I loved about the game throughout was when I actually became a Dark Knight, as a specific job that you can play. The person who was the main person who wrote the main story for it was Natsuko, and it is an insane cluster of like just things that you wouldn't expect to happen kind of like intertwine with each other, and it brings not only the main story but like things that you've been doing since like day one, and so it's like insane. And then they brought her on as the main story writer for this expansion, and it definitely translates to it. So that's probably why we're so gun-ho to like get through this, is because like I think Frank can agree, this is like becoming one of the best like expansions just because
Mhm.
of just the writing. And so if you guys ever have the opportunity to play it, I would highly recommend it because of just the thought. And as someone who has played multiple MMOs in the past, this is by far like one of the best experiences that I've had. So would highly recommend it. Also, she's adorable and is super sweet, and she just like every time I see her in an interview, she's just so adorable and like super like modest about the fact that she like is like everyone like praises her, and she's just like, oh, I appreciate it, like, and she gets like really shy, and I'm like, oh, super cute. You're
The
so
irony of somebody being so cute and nice, and they write some of the most depressing stories.
Yeah, and I mean, she made depression bringers. That is
Yeah.
the kind of extent of what we're currently experiencing. So I have been playing a lot of that, I will admit, but to kind of compensate, I have been watching a very popular early 2000s show called Gilmore Girls. Um, Freaking
Bless you.
fantastic show. Like I have watched it probably 2 times through already. And then like watching it now, it's definitely a completely different experience because quite honestly, when I first started watching Gilmore Girls, I was closer to Rory's age, and now as someone who's getting closer to Lorelai's age, who is the
Don't say
mother
that.
in the show.
Don't say that. That doesn't make me feel good either.
I mean,
Oh,
I
oh
mean,
God! Hold on. Remember the comment I made to you, Mario, when we were riding back on the Uber? I said we're not going to see James Bond again probably until we're in our 40s, and then Mario's like, "That's a long time ago." He looks at me and goes, "Wait, that's not far away."
For people who are not familiar with Gilmore Girls, it is a story about a woman named Lorelai Gilmore who had a daughter at the age of 16, and named her after herself. So technically her name is also Lorelai, but she goes by Rory. And the story starts off with her being 32, Rory being 16 years old and going to a new school named Chilton. And unfortunately, Lorelai realizes I don't have the money, which the tuition for the school is $50,000. So she goes to her parents, Emily and Richard Gilmore, Emily being the third Gilmore girl, and asking for assistance because they are wealthy people. And so they come up with a plan that they will go to her parents' place every Friday night, and have family night dinners. And it is just the life of Lorelai who is she's the manager of an inn, and she's trying to make like start up her own inn in the future. That's her goal, and that's what she's specifically mentioning at the beginning. Rory's going to school as a 16-year-old girl, but then they kind of confuse if she's actually 16 because at the time they said that she was 16, but then she also was turning 16 later on in season 1. There's just some discrepancies. It's the early 2000s. We let it go slide. And just like the people of
Do we,
Stars
Will?
Hollow. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, we do.
I
I
don't.
let it go.
Yeah, early 2000s TV shows will like retcon
Yeah.
things on the fly. They don't care.
Correct.
Like, look at
But-
CSI.
I'm looking at
It's
you,
just
dear Evan Hansen. It does not flap high anymore. All right.
Ooh. But no, it's definitely it's definitely a fall comfort show for a lot of people. You might like hear that they're currently rewatching it because it is like the embodiment of fall, because it is a small, quaint, like they're
New England, I
Connecticut
think, right?
town.
Oh, Connecticut, yeah.
Just a small town in Connecticut. That's
And that's
based off
Kniff
of
from there.
And just them growing up, and it's just like kind of like a nice like little like time capsule of the early 2000s. And it's refreshing up until I personally think season 6 and after that was like there are some things that happen that I'm just like I'm not particularly thrilled about, and that's why I'm probably going to stop at the end of season 6 because that's when Amy Sherman.
Just keep going.
I know, but Amy Sherman Palladino and Daniel were off the next season because the CW bought, like, that was when, to kind of give you guys some context, 2006 is when WB became CW, and they had some casting discrepancies and just like a bunch of other things. So the main writers left, and they made season 7.
What does CW stand for?
I don't
Ooh.
know.
I used to
Who
know.
knows?
I used to know. Hold on, I'll look it up
I
for
don't
you.
know. But I love the
Warner?
show. And I will admit there are definitely some things that kind of confuse me. For example, um Jared, oh my gosh, why do I know? I'm always bad at
Padalecki?
this. Yeah, Padalecki. He's in Supernatural, plays a character named Sam, but then in Gilmore Girls, he
Is
plays a
that
character
the
named
one-
Dean.
What?
Hold on.
They
Excuse
reference
me?
this
Is
in
that the
Supernatural.
one who what side of the drama is that one on?
He is
On
Dean.
the making the show or the not making the show?
What?
What do you mean?
There's this big supernatural drama about one of the two is like producing a show or whatever and the other one's not in it.
Oh, he's in it. He's in the show. No,
He's the one producing the show, so he's not the one who threw a fit on.
Yeah, Peladecki is going on to Lone Star, and he's making his like a different show. It's oh god,
All I know about Supernatural is that one of them was throwing a
Jensen
fit on
Ackles.
Twitter about
Yeah.
another one making a TV show.
Yeah.
That's-
Wow, I didn't know
Ackles
this.
is going on to
Just-
make it like he's doing essentially like a prequel to Supernatural.
Oh
and he
fuck! Is
wasn't told
this
about it?
a Drake and Josh situation?
You know,
Oh,
it's not
no.
a
We're gonna
Drake
have
and
beef?
No, they're just upset.
Do they have beef?
No, Jared just felt like he just wasn't told about it, and so he's just like, I didn't know that this was happening, and was a little bit upset. But my he has which is like I found out the other day that he has the same birthday as me. So shout out to Jared. No, it's very confusing. So he plays a character named Dean on Gilmore Girls, and then there is Dean in Supernatural. And then when he came back for A Year in the Life, he just looked like Sam rolled up in the freaking Impala, and he's just like, hey Rory, I have 6 kids now, have to go back to my wife, obviously definitely not me on Supernatural, peace out. And
I mean,
then
let's be
walked
real
out.
here. You could probably intertwine those universes very easily, considering the origin of those characters.
I mean, if they just named him Sam, it would definitely be
Oh,
a little bit
okay.
fitting. But no,
He looks like a
it's-
Dean in Gilmore Girls, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
Rory's lucky because what happens to Sam's girlfriend in the very beginning of the show is not great. So
Oh yeah.
I mean, many of his girlfriends in the show don't.
That
have
is
a
also
very good
true.
ending. Because the writers of Supernatural are not particularly
Ruby.
very nice to women in that show, which is a whole other thing. But yeah, Gilmore Girls, super great. That actually Supernatural is the next show that I'm going to get into.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I would have to say, for me, because I know someone else here is going to be talking about Gilmore Girls. Lorelai is definitely one of my favorite characters in the series.
Bless.
Also is Emily. Emily is definitely, at least for me, especially after A Year in the Life, she has like a complete glow up after, unfortunately, as we all know, the character who played her husband passed away, and so she has a really cool story arc, probably the best story arc in A Year in the Life, because she just goes from like,
Yeah.
I'm part of like, what is it? Oh my gosh, DRA, I think it's the
Yep.
name of it. Yeah, the
Mhm.
DRA. Because I almost said DEA, like DEA.
She's part of the DEA.
I said that to Lucas the other day, and he's like,
it's Breaking
"That
Bad
took
all of a
turn."
sudden.
Gilmore Girls took. Well, he thinks it's essentially Breaking Bad, but I think it's more in lines of a joke. But yeah, really good series. I would highly recommend watching it. It is on Netflix. So if you have the opportunity to, definitely watch it. It's a very good, feel good kind of show. And Luke Danes is cool too.
How's the intro?
Thank you.
How's the intro to this?
The
Gilmore Girls intro.
Oh my god. Well, it's
Banger.
gonna get stuck in your head. So be prepared.
Okay.
It's a song called "Where You Lead." And it once again it will. I think that's also another reason why everyone wants to like watch it in the fall, because it's very fall. It has like a red filter over top, orange, almost like a red orange filter over top of it when they play the song. And then you're just like,
in my mind, I just see them both next to each other having just a cup of cocoa and just sitting there, and that's
no coffee. They are coffee addicts.
Coffee,
Yeah.
coffee,
Yes.
pumpkin spice lattes, whatever it ends up being.
Coffee, just straight black coffee.
Straight
They never
damn.
put cream or sugar in their coffee.
Del
ever.
Cooper would love this place.
That intro is not what I expected it to be. It is very early 2000s.
What did you expect?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what I expected, but this is.
I just sent
that is something.
in the general chat. I sent the season 1 like cover in the general chat, as you can see. Like it's very much a fall show.
Oh
Very
yes, 100%.
Okay. Frank and Christian, before we continue,
Christian, you've also.
sorry,
What?
I was just gonna say, if you can just turn your mic down just a itty bit for both of you. That's all.
I've been trying to.
Okay.
It's okay.
How's that better?
Better.
Is that better for you?
Yeah, it's better.
Is it better for your?
I'm gonna mute and look this up.
Okay.
All right.
Continue.
Well, I was gonna throw it to Christian, but here we are. We're vibing. We're riffing. Life is good. It's fine. I guess I'll throw it over to you, Mario. What have you been up to?
Well, I watched No Time to Die along with Frank, and I agree with him. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, Skyfall is my favorite still. In terms of a James Bond series, not encapsulating all the 20 other films, just specifically Daniel Craig. I think this was a great send-off to his version of the character, and very interested how they would proceed forward. But I think the story that they told very much closed up all the things that you really need from that character. And very excited to see what people think of it. I, of course, today talked about the movie The Guest with Cristian here, of course, which fantastic movie. I obviously spoke about my wonderful bisexual love for Dan Stevens. Fantastic, wonderful man.
Stan Stevens.
Dan's.
I love.
It's a fantastic
I love
movie.
Stan Stevens.
Stan
My
Stevens?
favorite
Who's Stan
actor.
Stevens?
It's a joke. So my best friend Shelby and I are very much in love with Downton Abbey, especially Dan Stevens' character.
Okay.
And so we would get very excited talking about Downton Abbey and texting in all caps. And many a time we have typed out accidentally Stan Stevens. So from now on, from thence on, we have only referred to Dan Stevens as Stan Stevens.
Wonderful.
Like, that's his only name.
Wonderful. Well, he is the star of this film, by means star of this film, and definitely recommend it to everyone. And if you want to hear me talk about it, please go to Christian's podcast, the Popcorn Podcast, and hear us talk about it. And I told some other fun stories about the Wachowskis and Guillermo del Toro, so that's also fun as well. And let's see. Last, obviously, I'm trying to be a little quick because I know we're running a lot on time. I watched What If. I liked it. I
want to talk about What If with you.
So I'm gonna go ahead.
I've also been watching What If.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think of the show?
I have a lot of feelings about What If.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to direct people to the Stark Radio after parties. You can see a lot of my comments and thoughts about episodes week to week there. But in general, not a fan.
Oh, okay.
I feel like they were given the opportunity to do so much good with this series and didn't take it. It's still very white. I think only maybe one or two of the episodes passed the Bechdel test. Like, you had so much opportunity to change how Marvel has gone through the years in the movies with this series, because it's infinite universes, right? You can do anything. You can correct any of those things you've been critiqued on, and they did a little bit, not as much as I wanted out of it.
Gotcha. Okay. In terms of when it comes to the general stories, I found majority of the stories to be somewhat lackluster, but the ones that hit hard, and they were specifically the ones that did obviously connect to the history of the MCU, but obviously use that information to subvert your expectations. Specifically, there's a murder mystery one, which would use the history.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, of the episodes, I have 3 that I very highly recommend.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the episode 2 with T'Challa as Star-Lord.
That's a great one.
Incredible. Loved it. Episode 3, the murder mystery.
Yes.
I love a murder mystery. It played on, a lot of like references to the history of Marvel. Thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
And I have some issues with the zombies episode.
Sure.
In general, I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun with that. Those 3 episodes, people who have asked me like, do I watch What If? Like, not a huge Marvel fan. I'll say, watch these 3 episodes, and that's all you need.
Sure. Yeah. I definitely had an affinity for the murder mystery. Captain Carter, who is my breakout star, and I want them in the MCU proper. I just give Haley Atwell all the money, and
I don't want any.
I know you don't. I want it.
I don't want her.
I want all of it. Please give it to me. It's all I want. And of course, I love the Doctor Strange one. I thought the Doctor Strange one was fascinating, and it was totally of a different story in terms of different. It was different enough where it didn't rely so much on the world that you need to know. It was new stuff.
I liked the idea, but what it really felt like was fridging the episode. Like, we don't need to see the only prominent female character die a million times. That really grated on me. And
sure, I can see that.
I would have really liked it if we didn't have to see her fridged literally a million times.
That is fair. That is fair.
I do have a question though.
Yeah.
For both of you actually, because everybody here has kind of seen What If, except for probably me and Fee. I
haven't seen it either. I bounced after 2 episodes.
Okay, cool. So this is just a general question. What do you expect out of What If? Because when I think of What If, I just think of how the original comics were, which was, let's take a question, a crazy question. Like, what if Wolverine didn't have adamantium, or what if Wolverine didn't have a healing factor? Or what if there were zombies in the Marvel universe? Or, just crazy questions. Or even then, like, what if Gwen Stacy never died? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. What do you guys expect out of that? For Marvel, the MCU Marvel, to do with these stories? Do you expect them to do the comic book route of just taking characters that you would kind of have pre-knowledge over in at least comic book form, or do you want them 100% to take it out of specifically just the MCU version of it?
I want to build off of that really quick, because you brought up one of my biggest critiques of the show is, so these comics took out their question and tried to answer it, right? And one of my biggest problems with the shows is the stories they're telling don't really answer the question they're asking. And I feel like there was so much better questions for them to ask to tell the stories they actually wanted to tell. And I think that was one of my biggest disconnects, was the questions they were asking were not the questions they were answering. And that created a huge disconnect for me, thinking like, you're not actually asking this question. You're answering a totally different question. And I don't know if you felt that, Mario, but that's something I've heard from quite a few people.
I could see that primarily because it literally is like the most innocuous thing can change a whole universe, and that's just really what they're kind of saying. Like, I forgot, it was the very first episode with Carter, where it was like a sentence was different or something, and that changed the entire trajectory of the entire show and the entire universe of that world. And I thought that was so like innocuous of a thing to happen. I think it does get more grand as it goes on. Like, for instance, there's an episode where Thor is a partier. Like, it's just a completely useless episode that's just for fun. And there's no major thing that goes on with it, but it's silly. It's a cartoon. Like, it feels like a cartoon.
Oh, the Party Thor episode.
The Party Thor episode, yeah. But otherwise, I mean, yeah. I mean, I want in a way where the What If comics works because it asks questions in a world that has obviously a huge tapestry of history, and the Marvel universe has only about these last couple years, so they're always going to keep going back to these same moments over and over and over again, versus like the thousands of stories that come from comic books. So yeah, you're going to keep seeing these certain things repeat, and so they really are only working within this confine. And if you like that, then this is the show for you. If you want it to be like, I want to see the Thing turn, what if the Thing was Doctor Doom, like some shit like that, like you're not going to see that in this because it hasn't happened yet. Like anything that has not happened in this universe is not going to show up on this show. And that,
except for zombies.
they
can throw zombies in anything though, and it'll
yeah, they got around that in a way, but yeah, for sure. But even
as long as that episode's better than the comic, because the comic sucks.
I think it's
Alexis thought so. I haven't read the zombies comics, but
it goes places, right? It goes
to some weird places, man.
Yeah,
that comic is weird.
But even
I
so,
will say one of my highlights of What If is we got to see a lot of creative ways for Tony to die, and that made me chuckle.
Talking about frigid, man. Free got fridged a lot.
It's not fridging if it's a man.
Oh, fair enough.
Elefante says, I would have liked the comic book route, but we know the MCU sells for Disney, and that's true. It makes sense for them to stay within that MCU kind of thing, because that's what's recognizable to that audience. Like Mario says, you throw Doctor Doom and the Thing in there. A lot of people who just look at Marvel specifically just as their one source to that Marvel universe will not know who any of those characters are unless they're introduced properly. So that makes sense.
And my final note is, I think, you could take it or leave it. You could take these as individual stories, and some people like that, which, I thought that people were actually winning on the fact that the stories didn't properly end. And I think the reason why they didn't properly end is because the stories actually connect. At the, the overall season is leading to something. The watcher is getting closer and closer to the screen, and you're seeing more details of him. And there's a reason for that when you get to the end of the season. So
I hope they keep like kind of, because when I think What If, I think of more Twilight Zone in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
100%.
Like creepy little stories from the Marvel universe. That it doesn't even have to be creepy, because some of those stories were actually kind of beautiful, where like it fixed a lot of the wrongs that would happen to superheroes, like a spouse or somebody in their life who dies. Like, what if Uncle Ben lived? You know what I mean? There's a Spider-Man story for that. Or what if Uncle Ben was Spider-Man? You know what I mean? And Peter Parker was the one who died. Stuff like that. Those really cool stories that you can really tell through that thing. And I hope they do more of that kind of Twilight Zone like stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of hope they do some of that too as well. And this will continue on with season 2, and this has ramifications for future live action movies. So hopefully we'll see Thing characters variant. Yeah.
So speaking of season 2, I do want to shout out. Ellie says, "Sucks they have to leave out the Gilmore episode." I was also very disappointed
because of the pandemic.
Obviously, pandemic issues. They had to push the Gilmore episode, which really, I think, negatively impact my perspective on the final episode.
Sure.
But I mean, there's not much you can do about that. I'd rather everybody stay safe and, get it out there than, people risking their health. But yeah, I was really disappointed that they had to push the Gilmore episode.
Yeah, because it's a 9 episode versus a 10 episode, which would most likely have made sense to flesh out the story at the end. But yeah.
But speaking of comics, oh yeah, go ahead, Cristian.
No, I will say that, and also I'm sorry if the gain is too high. It says it's at 0 on my computer, but
now you're too low.
I think you could turn it up just a little.
You can turn it up a bit, yeah.
Like if it has a dial, just turn it up twice. I think you should be good.
Ooh, okay.
Here, go ahead. Talk while you're dialing.
Okay. Hello.
Oh, you sound perfect now.
Stop. You're good.
Right there.
Yeah,
okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you guys. I will say though, like when I compare like anthology shows, like I automatically think of Visions right now because like that just came out, and like that for me that show was a lot like episode to episode is like a lot more. I won't spoil it, so like that feels like more thematically important or heavy, even though they're like isolated stories. When I compare that to, granted, I only watched 2 episodes of What If, that to me was much more shallow and not as textually rich as I wanted that show to be, or
Mhm.
I felt like it could be. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Well, because I feel like, you know, even those stories don't end, but they still like leave you enough questions of like what's going to happen forward. This has that a little bit, but it's definitely more like, oh, and the episode just ends. I think this show would work better if you actually binged it, as opposed to we had to wait a week every week, and when the show doesn't end in a resolution that you like, then yeah, it leaves you off put. So I think if you watch it all the way through, especially since, like I said, it does tie together at the end, then I think you would enjoy it a lot more. And that's what I'm hoping that a lot of people will revisit it, in my opinion. But yeah, I overall think that that's super solid.
Yeah. Yeah, so speaking of comics, I'm not reading What If, but I am reading a lot of other comics. This week specifically, I read through 3 limited run series, which are Black Widow, Deadly Origin, Hawkeye and Mockingbird, and Widowmaker. They all 3 kind of tie together really nicely. So I just read through all of them together. I really enjoyed them. Any comics with Hawkeye is kind of hit or miss, because as a character, I think over the years how he's portrayed is very different in every time there's a different creator working on him. He doesn't really have a set like characteristics. So it was interesting to see how this compares to other Hawkeye stuff that I've read. But yeah, I really vibed with Widowmaker especially, but all 3 are really good. And I think I would say you have to read Hawkeye and Mockingbird before you read Widowmaker. And the Deadly Origin is a nice introduction to that series. But yeah, I also want to shout out, I'm watching Only Murders in the Building. I've watched up to episode
Ooh,
8. There's
okay.
2 more left. Oh my gosh, you guys, this show.
It's really good.
It's really good. So it's so fun to see Selena Gomez acting again, because like she's incredible, and she's incredible in this.
Has she always been that cool? She's really cool in this movie.
She's so cool.
I like her a lot.
I love that they're making fun of podcasts. Like, obviously, we all here like podcasts. We make one. And I love poking fun at podcasts, especially the, like, true crime genre. And so I love to see, a show that's making a podcast, but also making fun of podcasts.
Yes.
I think they balance that really well. And also, they have a deaf actor whose character is getting more and more prominent, and I'm really excited to see where that story goes. It does the typical thing where all the hearing people sign sucks, but I mean, the deaf actor is great. I love him. And
Which, if you don't know the
that's
premise,
I'm really liking the show.
I was gonna say, if you don't know the premise of the show is people that love a murder mystery podcast, a la, any of the, Serial or whatever, live in the same building, come together and try to solve a murder that happens in the building. And the people are Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, and Martin Short, which are these old time comic classic actors. And so they go through wacky adventures throughout the show. And I've started watching it. I'm only in episode 2, but I really enjoyed for what I saw so far. So I'm excited to see what the rest.
I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for you to watch it. But yeah,
on
I'm
Hulu.
having an absolute blast with that. It's on Hulu. I can't wait for episode 9. Like I went through the entire like first 8 episodes back to back, and now I'm just like itching for more.
Oh yeah.
And then
I've seen, like scuttlebutt on Twitter of people saying like it gets like really good. So I'm kind of waiting until like it's almost finished. That way I can binge and then catch up for like the finale or something.
Yeah.
For sure. I would definitely I think Monday episode 9 will come out. And so after that, watch 1 through 9, and then like the next week will be the finale. But yeah. Other things I have to yell about on the internet. Oh my gosh, we got a trailer for Tick Tick Boom, and the entire song of 3090 released with Andrew Garfield singing, and it's just been on repeat forever. Oh my gosh. I am a huge Jonathan Larson fan. I can't wait for this movie. I've also been spending all of my free time watching Leverage, which I know I talked about last week. Still incredible. I'm in the middle of season 4. I need to finish 4 and 5, and then Redemption Part 2 dropped today. Leverage is great. I can't believe nobody told me about this show beforehand. Now, everybody keeps, whenever I talk about Leverage, everybody's like, "Oh, I loved that show." I'm like, should have told me. But now I'm glad I'm on the Leverage hype train. And to round off what we've been playing, please, Cristian, take it away.
Oh, can do. Thank you. I've been playing Jet. It's I thank you to Super Brothers and Papa Agenda. They provided us with a code at Penultimate Conquest. I'm doing that for review. I just finished it yesterday, and
Nice.
I think I actually really like it. Like it has one of the most beautiful, like, and awe-inspiring openings I've played in a game this year. It reminds you a lot, like, if you enjoyed, like, this sense of adventure in Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, you're gonna get that here. But if you're looking for more like an action pace kind of game, you might want to look elsewhere, because it's really like meditative and slow, which can be kind of a slog at sometimes. But if you're kind of interested in like the aesthetics of space and people just like thinking about like what they're doing and colonizing, like, that is really cool. Unfortunately, like, just the gameplay falls apart a little bit, and the story just by the end of it falls a little flat. So kind of hard to satisfy that when there's so many good things going for it, but a few things that hold it back. So it's going to be interesting to kind of think about as I write the review. And then I watched No Time to Die last night, and I think I agree with Frank that it's like, I was not expecting this movie to be as much of a banger as it was. Like, I'm like getting emotional because it's Daniel Craig's last movie as Bond. So it's like,
I teared up a little bit.
yeah, and it's great. It might be my number 2 Bond movie, but I don't know if I want to pen that in yet, and it's not.
That's exactly what I told Mario in the car ride back. I think it's a solid number 2 for, at least for me. But again, after a few days, let it fester. We might think something different. But yeah, it's definitely really good.
Absolutely. And then we talked about Gilmore Girls too. That's a show that I put on every morning or every night. It got me through it's my 4th time rewatching. Got me through some dark times in my past. It got me through a dark time like a month ago where I was just like not feeling it. Imposter syndrome was hitting me, and I just needed something to make me feel good. And Gilmore Girls was that. And so, once I start, I can't stop. So, I'm pushing through it.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh, that's a hard. Probably Luke.
Yeah.
Or Rory, just because like I feel like I'm like, I want to be who Rory is at the beginning of that show. Like, she's like the perfect person. Like, she's smart. Like, she's funny. She's into like really cool music. Like, that's who I want to be as a person. Like, someone who's like nice and everyone loves.
Yeah.
I don't think I am, but if not, then Luke.
Well, you're definitely loved here.
Yes, you're definitely loved here.
We love you
guys.
Yeah, you're the Rory of our podcast. Like, you're season 1 through 3 Rory. We're not talking about 4 to 7.
I have no idea about this reference, so I'm just gonna nod my head.
Oh, sure. Cristian knows.
I'm Kirk, dude. If I'm anyone, it's Kirk, and I know if you'll get that.
Star Trek?
No. The man of 10,000 jobs and is actually almost a millionaire because of said jobs at Internet. Oh my god.
Sean Gunn in that show, Kirk, he's like this. It's unveiled that he has like this hobby as like a filmmaker, and he screens a movie for like the whole town, and it's the most Lynchian movie I've ever fucking seen in my life. Lynch, and it rocks.
You just took
that
Mario.
movie, dude. I want to see the full feature length of Kirk's movie. It's so good. Look that up on YouTube.
I'll look it up for sure.
Yeah. Oh god, I forgot. I always forget about that movie, and then I watched it this time around. I'm like, this is a freaking masterpiece in so many ways.
It rocks. Yeah.
Oh my god. I just love the fact that he's just like, I can't remove the dams. I'm a filmmaker. I have street cred. And I'm like, okay.
I wish you guys knew. Everyone should watch Gilmore Girls. I'm trying to get Jackson to watch it, and he will not concede. It's like possibly the
I
top
have so
10
many
greatest shows
shows to watch. I mean, it'll go on my list, but I still have to finish Merlin, and so many other
this
things.
should just jump to the top because it's
I'm
this
in
is
the middle
literally
of
the
Merlin.
pinnacle, literally the
And
time of
Leopard.
year.
I mean, I'm still trying to get through Xenon, Warrior Princess, and Hercules, so it's gonna be a while.
Don't tell me
We're
how
about
Merlin ended. I don't know
I have
yet.
no idea.
Shout out to
But
Cheesy Man
I know
Dan
we're
in the
running.
chat.
What up?
I know we're running long, but Cristian, please tell me what Squid Game is.
Oh, do you not know?
No idea.
Oh, okay.
Squid Game.
Squid Game,
Okay, I was like,
I've been trying to avoid it because I haven't watched it either. I know what it's kind of about because everyone keeps making references, but I don't know the general premise, or I don't know the general story.
do you want me to give you the general premise? Or would you
General,
Just general
general
premise,
premise
yeah.
is fine. Just no spoilers.
Okay.
What the heck is the internet talking about?
It's a Korean show on Netflix. Shout out to, I guess, white vans. Apparently, the sales of vans have gone up over 700% because of
Good for them.
it's the new Halloween costume, apparently.
Yeah, for it will be. I'm sure. It's just like this game where a bunch of people who are down on their luck because capitalism sucks are enticed to come play this game, and so the people abide and like they go play this game. And turns out like if you lose in the game, they kill you. And so there's like 400
Oh, okay.
people, and like the main character is like trying to survive it. And it's a very good show.
Oh yeah, that sounds right up
Episode
my
six.
alley.
That's why
Episode
everybody's
6.
making
Episode 6. Okay.
everybody's making Hunger Games references. I made a comment that no, they're obviously ripping off The Lottery, which if you haven't read the short story The Lottery,
Very good.
oh my god, guys. It's something. But yeah, that's all I knew about it is that people are saying it was ripping off Hunger Games, which
Yeah.
that story has been done a million times, y'all. It's a trope.
Yeah, Hunger Games
Nobody's
is ripping off
ripping
Battle Royale
anybody.
anyway.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
Battle Royale. It's Battle
Yeah.
Royale.
Yeah,
Like-
it's more battle royale for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you like the themes of like capitalism, we're absolutely fucked because
Fuck
of it. Because of,
capitalism.
from like Parasite, you're gonna like
Yeah.
Squid Game.
So
Yeah.
Battle Royale, Battle Royale 2, the movie, which was more about capitalism than the first movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because of that,
Fair enough.
If you want to get into that, that's a. Whew.
One last thing, because I was going through this, I noticed Fee, what the hell is horrified? It just says horrified on your thing.
Oh, it does. What does that mean?
What?
What
I
is
was
that?
like reading through these, and I'm like, what the hell is Are you horrified?
So you guys may or may not know, sometimes every so often I do a thing called play board games. Where
You do that often.
so
We love board games.
I wanted to bring a spooky, scary skeleton board game to the podcast called Horrified. It brings all of your like favorite like 1950s to 1970s horror tropes, where like Dracula, Creature of the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein's monster, Frankenstein's bride, all these characters, and they are currently plaguing this one specific town. And so it's your job as the heroes of this town to remove them in some way, shape, or form. For example, with the mummy, you have to collect a bunch of items and actually fill out the hieroglyphs on their tablet to be able to summon them to like specifically to you to be able to like remove and beat them in a battle. And it is a very pretty board game. The box itself, like I just want to get this board game specifically for the box art. Like the box art is chef's kiss. Like I am obsessed with it. And I
Good.
just
It's good box art. It's very good
it's
box art.
very like I'm gonna post it in our general chat. Like I sometimes I want to get a board game because of the box art, and this box art is no exception. But yeah, it's you start off with just that they want to go to, and hope that they don't die, because if they die or if you die, that track up at the top of the board goes to essentially like everyone dies in the town. Like if you specifically get to a certain point where you failed so many times, everyone in the town has died, and the creatures or like the evil people of horror have taken over the town, and you no longer cease to exist. Would highly recommend it. It won a bunch of awards in 2019 when it was first released. And yeah, I need to get this board game.
I like.
We should play it on tabletop sometime. I think that'd be a really fun little, maybe this month during spoopy season.
Absolutely.
Spoopy.
Ooh, yeah.
I do.
Definitely do
I
that.
do like on the box it says Universal Studios Monsters right there, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. There are as far as I know, I think there's some expansions that add other like famous horror
Ooh, the
tropes.
Babadook.
Babadook.
Gay icon Babadook?
Gay icon Babadook.
There are
If anybody doesn't know what that's referencing, a while back on Netflix, Babadook was listed under the LGBTQ movie section, so Babadook is now a gay icon.
Yeah.
In case anybody didn't get
Yeah,
that
so
deep internet cut, I
so funny.
referenced.
That rocks.
I'm pretty sure he's gay. He's also gay in What We Do in the Shadows too, which is hilarious.
Nice.
But yeah, I would highly recommend it. I definitely want to find out if this is on tabletops, because if it is, I will definitely be happy to teach people how to play this, because it's easy
Hell
enough for people to like, for non board game excited people to play, and it can get complex enough for people who are hardcore board gamers to actually be like, okay, this is actually a challenge, because the most that you can have on the board is like 4 of these like horror tropes at once. So you might have Frankenstein, the Frankenstein's Bride, the Wolfman, Creature of the Black Lagoon, and the Mummy all on the board at once, trying to take over this town and just completely fuck your shit up.
This is speaking so to me because I'm a huge fan of those like really bad crossover movies, like the Frankenstein versus the Werewolf, or Abbott and Costello meets the Universal Monsters. So this is speaking directly at me.
And it's so
Chris,
fun because
did you just call them bad?